In this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps you need to take once you know that you want to take a CLEP exam. But if you're not really sure yet whether you want to take CLEP exams, then I encourage you to go watch my video titled CLEP, the Secret to Graduating Early and Saving Thousands in College. In that video, I explain 5 different ways that CLEP exams can be used to improve your college experience and really help you achieve your goals. And if you're not sure yet which CLEP exam to take, then you should go watch my video titled Which CLEP Exams Should You Take? In that video, I show you how to find out exactly which CLEP exams will help you earn credit towards your specific degree at your specific university. But once you know which CLEP exam you want to take, then there are 5 next steps. You need to register for the exam, create a study schedule, then schedule the exam, study for the exam, and finally take the CLEP exam. So I'm going to go through the details of those 5 steps in this video, but also there's a PDF guide that goes along with this video. So head down to the description of this YouTube video where you'll find a link to the PDF titled How to Take a CLEP Exam, the 5-Step Guide. That PDF has all the steps from this video detailed in writing, and it also contains all the links to the information and resources that I mention in this video. So make sure to pause this video, go ahead and head down to the description box now, get that PDF downloaded and opened up so you can follow along and you don't miss a thing. All right, so let's go ahead and start with step number 1. The first thing you want to do is register for the CLEP exam through the College Board and pay the $93 exam fee. Actually, at the time of filming this video, the exam fee is only $90, but it's going to go up to $93 in July of 2023. So technically, you could put off registration for the CLEP exam until you've studied for the exam a little bit and you feel a little bit more prepared to take it. But I actually recommend that you go ahead and pay for the exam and schedule it up front, because I really feel that when you go ahead and purchase the exam and you schedule it, it really gives you that little push you need to get motivated to start studying and not procrastinate. Having that external deadline is sometimes really helpful just psychologically, just to get you going. And we'll talk about when you should schedule your exam in a little bit, but you could definitely go ahead and register for the exam now, because the College Board gives you 6 months from the time of purchase and registration for a CLEP exam to actually take the exam. And 6 months is way more than enough time to study for and take any CLEP exam. So there should be no issues registering for the exam right away. So I'm going to share my screen now to show you how to register for a CLEP exam. To register for a CLEP exam, you want to go to this page on the College Board website, which is the exam topics page. So here's where you can find all the different CLEP exams you can take. I am showing the URL for this website at the top here, but the link to this page is included in the PDF guide that is linked in the description on this YouTube video. So when you get to this page, you just select the CLEP exam that you want and it takes you to that CLEP exams page. So I'll show you how it shows all the different CLEP exams you can take sorted by category. So the first category here is History and Social Sciences, and all the exams are here: Composition and Literature exams, Science and Mathematics, Business, and World Languages. So they're all here. So whichever CLEP exam you want to take, you just select that one. So I'm going to select American Government, as if we want to take the American Government CLEP exam. So once you get to that page, you could read a little bit about the exam if you'd like. Tells you some good information here. But in order to register for it, you just go over to this blue box that has the button that says Add to Cart, and you select Add to Cart. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, you do want to be certain that you will get credit towards your degree for that specific CLEP exam before you purchase it and study for it. So if you haven't done your due diligence on that yet, definitely pause this video now and go watch my video titled Which CLEP Exams Should You Take? That video will help you find out exactly which CLEP exams give you credit towards your specific degree at your specific university. But if you've already confirmed that information, then you can move forward with purchasing your CLEP exam. So once you add to cart, you can go to the checkout page. So I'm going to click checkout. And you can only purchase one CLEP exam at a time. So if you try to add more than one to your cart and check out, you will get an error message. But I would recommend only studying for and taking one CLEP exam at a time anyways. You just don't want to spread your focus too thin. And trust me, it feels really good to pass a CLEP exam. Once you study for and take one, you'll feel confident and motivated to start taking more. So I recommend focusing on just one so you can get that little win under your belt and get that nice confidence boost to keep going. So then you just go to register and check out. You will need to be signed into your account in order to check out. So if you're not signed into your account, then when you click the button to register and check out, then you'll be either asked to sign in, it says to sign in, or if you don't have an account, you'll need to go down to create an account. It's pretty quick and easy to create an account. You just have to fill out some personal information, verify your email address. And so once you're done with that, you just go through the normal checkout process where you're going to input personal information and payment information, along with some other questions they ask you about where you went to school and things like that. Also, during the checkout process, you will be asked to select whether you want to take the CLEP exam at a CLEP test center or via remote proctoring. Remote proctoring is when you take the exam on your own computer with your webcam on and a human proctor is observing you. I haven't done the remote proctoring option personally, but there's a lot of information about exactly how to do it on the College Board website. In order to go with remote proctoring, you need to pay an extra $30 remote proctoring fee, and you need to be sure that you can meet certain requirements for your equipment and your testing location. A few examples of those requirements are that you need to use a PC computer. Mac computers aren't allowed. And that computer needs to have a wired mouse, a wired keyboard, a webcam, and a speaker. You need to make sure that you have Chrome browser version 80.0 or higher, and you need to download and install an online testing application that is provided to you by the College Board. Those are just a few examples of the requirements. There are more, but I have included a link to all of the remote proctoring requirements in that PDF guide that is linked in the description. So if you haven't yet downloaded that guide, make sure to go to the description, download the link to my PDF guide titled How to Take a CLEP Exam, the 5-Step Guide. That's got all the information you need in there about remote proctoring. Also during the checkout process, you will be asked to select where you want your scores to be sent. So most of you are already in college or you already know which university you want to attend. So you'll just select your university and then the College Board will send an official College Board CLEP transcript to your university for you after you take the exam. The College Board allows you to select 2 institutions to send your scores to for free, and any additional institutions that you want to send your scores to will be an extra $20 fee each. But if you don't know yet where you want your scores to be sent, I would recommend just selecting 2 likely options, and then if you find out later that you need your scores sent somewhere else, you can always request a separate CLEP transcript. You'll just have to pay a $20 fee at that time. You can find the option to request a CLEP transcript in My CLEP Account section of the College Board website. Once you've completed the checkout process, make sure that you download and save your registration ticket. I would also recommend printing it out because you will need to bring the printed copy of the ticket with you to the testing center on exam day. All right, so once you're registered for your CLEP exam, we want to schedule your CLEP exam. But in order to know when to schedule your CLEP exam, you need to create a study schedule. It could be tempting to just pick a date on the calendar and schedule your exam then, cross your fingers and hope that it all works out. But I definitely recommend taking the time to create a study schedule at this point. And then when you're done planning out your study schedule, you can schedule your CLEP exam for the point in time when you reasonably think that you can complete your studies based on that schedule. Now, the details of your schedule will depend on your personal situation. You may have the freedom right now to study full time. Or I think most students are in this situation where they're going to be studying for the CLEP exam while they're taking other classes or they're working or whatever else they have going on. Also, the details of your study schedule will vary depending on how familiar you currently are with the topic you're studying for and the subject matter difficulty of the specific CLEP exam that you're taking. But regardless of your situation, the very first step you want to take for creating your study schedule is to just take a good look at your current weekly schedule. You want to get an idea of the exact times in your current weekly schedule that you can fit in your CLEP exam studies. So you want to identify the exact times you're going to study every week and even the exact places that you'll be studying. Is it going to be at your kitchen table first thing in the morning when you wake up for a couple hours? Or maybe every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, after your first class of the day, you'll go straight to the library and study for an hour or two. And then maybe also you'll go to your favorite coffee shop for a few hours every Saturday. You need to identify exactly what that looks like for you and what you will commit to. Once you've identified the times and places that you're going to study for your CLEP exam, then you want to identify which study materials you're going to use to study and get an idea of about how much material you think you can reasonably cover each study session. Now, I'm going to cover the options that are available to you for CLEP exam study materials in the Study for the Exam chapter of this video. So if you don't know yet which study materials you're going to use, you could always watch that chapter of this video and then come back to creating your study schedule. But let's say that you know that you want to use an REA study guide to study for the CLEP exam. And let's say there's 6 sections in the REA study guide, and you think you could reasonably cover 1 section per week. Then you would know, I'm going to study for 6 weeks and I'll schedule my CLEP exam 6 weeks out after I think I can complete all that material. And you may even push it a few days further, for review and practice tests or something like that. I'm telling you, this kind of planning is the key to success when it comes to passing your CLEP exams. You want to actually write these milestones out in your calendar and stick to them, and you'll be amazed what you can achieve. I actually see a lot of students online saying, oh man, I'm so stressed. This is my 3rd, 4th time taking a CLEP exam and I keep failing. But I promise you, your success when it comes to taking CLEP exams really all comes down to your ability to create an effective study schedule and execute on that study schedule. So don't skip this step. Think about where and when you're going to study, commit to it, and create a reasonable study schedule. Don't think, oh, I'm going to drink a big cup of coffee and just blast through tons of material every study session. Be reasonable, give yourself some leeway, and be very realistic about it. Now, I gave the 6-week study example using an REA study guide. But if you have the freedom right now to study full time, then you can actually complete your studies a lot faster. I honestly think that even if you're learning a more difficult subject for the very first time, most students can learn what they need to know enough to pass the CLEP exam with just 2 weeks of studying full time. And if it's an easier topic, you could learn everything that you need to know to pass the CLEP exam with just 1 or 2 days of studying. And if you're already very familiar with the topic, you already have a good understanding, say you recently took that class or you're a native Spanish speaker and you're taking the Spanish CLEP exam, then the first thing I would recommend that you do is take a practice test and just see if you can pass without studying. And if you can, then you can just schedule the CLEP exam for your first opportunity. And if you barely pass or you almost pass, then you could just take a look at what questions you missed and focus your studies specifically on those topics. And maybe you'll only need to study for a few hours before you take the CLEP exam. Now, once you've laid out a realistic study plan, it's time to schedule the exam. So I'm going to share my screen now to show you how to schedule your CLEP exam. This is the College Board's Test Center search feature. Again, I have the link to this page included in the PDF guide that is linked in the description of this YouTube video. So once you get to this Test Center search, then you can just input your state, city, and zip code to search for a testing center near you. So as an example, I'll put in an old zip code from whenever I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'll select Oklahoma. Let's do Tulsa. And we could do 74135. All right, and then I'll search. Okay, so it says 3 results. I can see 3 different testing centers show up here within 10 miles of that zip code. These are my testing center options, but one important thing to look at is these notes here over here on the right side. So we can see they've got the test center code for each of these testing centers, and then they say public, Dante's funded, public, public. So each of these results say public at the top, one says Dante's funded. Public means that these testing centers are open to the public and anyone can take a CLEP test there. So it means that any of these testing centers would be a good option for most people. Sometimes you'll get a result that says limited instead of public, and that means that that location only allows students that are enrolled in that institution to test there. So if you're wanting to take the exam at a university that you don't attend, then make sure the type says public and not limited. Also, if you're in the military and you're wanting to get your exam fee waived under Dante's, then you need to use a testing center that's designated as Dante's funded, like this first one here, Oklahoma State University, Tulsa. Okay, so once you select what testing center you want to use, then you typically have to call the number provided for that testing center. Like here are the phone numbers for each one. Typically you have to call that number to get information about what their hours of operation are, what their administration fee is, and how to schedule your exam and pay the administration fee. How that is handled varies by your testing center, so you just want to make sure that you contact them and you figure out how to get your exam scheduled. Now that you have registered for and scheduled your CLEP exam, it's time to do the real work, studying. This is where you just work that study schedule that you created when you were deciding when to schedule your CLEP exam. You really do want to be prepared to take the CLEP exam because if you don't pass, there's a 3-month waiting period before you can retake the test. This is an important thing to consider because if you're in the situation where you have to get your credits within a certain time frame, you may want to study a little extra just so you don't have to worry about missing your deadline. For example, when I completed my last semester of college, I had gotten some job offers and wanted to accept a job offer, but I still actually had 1 class left before I completed my degree and I could get my diploma. So I discussed that with my employer and I needed to study quickly for that CLEP exam and study well so I could be sure to pass and get the credit and submit my diploma to my employer to start working. But regardless of your situation, it is certainly most efficient to pass the CLEP exam the first time because then you don't have to pay another $93 for a registration ticket. And also, during that 3-month waiting period, you're definitely going to forget some of the material that you studied, and so you'll have to review it again before you take the test. So it just saves the most time to pass the exam the first time. Now, when it comes to which study materials to use, there are several options available. I'm going to list some of those options and I'll provide the pros and cons of each. But I will say this is my personal opinion and it's in no way intended to be comprehensive. But I'm going to include links to all the options that I mentioned in this video in that PDF guide that's linked in the description of this YouTube video. If you already know which materials that you're going to use to study for your CLEP exam, feel free to skip ahead to the exam day chapter of this video. The first category of study materials that I'm going to talk about is practice tests. Practice tests are really useful for everyone, but especially if you already have familiarity with the subject that you're testing over, then practice tests are great because you can just take a practice test first thing and then look at which questions you missed, and you can really narrow your focus of your studies down to just those topics that you need more work on, and that can really help save a lot of time. So the first place I would go to get a practice test is free clepprep.academy. You can download a full-length practice test from free clepprep.academy for free. Now, they do not yet have practice tests available for every single CLEP exam, but there are several available for download, so it's worth going there to check it out and see if you can get one for the CLEP test that you are taking. Now, the next place I would go is the College Board, because the College Board is the official source for the CLEP exams. And the College Board does have practice tests available for purchase. So you can get a digital ebook that contains one full-length practice test from the College Board for $10. And that ebook also has a description of the test and some test-taking strategies in there. The College Board also provides an online practice test through ExamIam for $14.99. And the ExamIam practice tests are just a little bit more of a user-friendly option than the digital ebook, and it also comes with a mobile phone application. I say it's a little bit more user-friendly because the ebook is, like I said, it's just a PDF ebook, and also the website and the software they use for purchasing that ebook is a little outdated. It takes a while for it to get delivered to you, and it's kind of glitchy, but both options work well. ExamIam is just a more intuitive and user-friendly option. All right, now the third resource I'm going to mention for CLEP practice tests is Petersons.com. Petersons.com is a subscription service. It's about $50 a month, and they've got CLEP practice tests. And the great thing about Petersons.com is that they also provide explanations to the solutions for the test questions, which is super valuable. And they also have some flashcards and video tutorials that can go along with those practice tests. Now, I do believe that the subscription is primarily intended to provide practice tests, and the flashcards and video tutorials are more complimentary. Petersons.com isn't really a comprehensive online course by any means. But Petersons does have a 7-day free trial, so there is no harm in just signing up with Petersons.com. You can at least use that 7-day free trial to take some practice tests. Some students may be able to study for a CLEP exam effectively using practice tests alone. Everyone studies differently, and if that's you, you should definitely go for it. But for most students, practice tests alone are not a good option when they're learning the material for the very first time. I know I'm not one of those people that can learn material for the first time effectively just using practice tests. I also think that it's an inefficient way of studying rather than just learning the material first and then using practice tests to prove that you can answer questions over that material correctly. So when it comes to study options that actually teach the exam content, the first place I would want to look is at what the College Board provides, because the College Board is the official source for the CLEP exams. Unfortunately, though, the College Board does not provide study materials that actually teach the exam content. They only have practice tests. And their practice tests don't provide solutions to the test questions. So for this reason, most students look to third-party options for CLEP exam study materials. So I'm going to list some of those options right now, and then I'll go through the pros and cons of each. So first I'm going to mention Speedy Prep and Instant Cert. So those are two different brands and two different websites, but they both provide flashcards over CLEP exam material. Next, I want to mention the REA study guides. The REA study guides really are the most comprehensive option because they really teach you all the material on the CLEP exam. In my PDF guide, which is linked in the description of this YouTube video, I have a link to the REA website. But if you decide to go that option, you could always check out Amazon because sometimes you can find those same study guides on Amazon for a lower price. And then last, I'm going to mention Modern States. Modern States is actually an amazing resource because Modern States is a nonprofit organization that provides free lectures teaching CLEP exam material in an online course format. And they even have some sample test questions that go along with each lecture. And what's really cool about Modern States is if you go through their entire course, you watch all the lectures, and you score at least 75% on the practice questions, then Modern States will give you a voucher to take the CLEP exam for free. Which of these study options will work best for you really depends on your personal situation and your current understanding of the topic that you're going to be testing over. If you are already really familiar and have a good understanding of the subject that you're going to be tested over, then any of these options will work for you. But the first place you could start is practice tests, and practice tests are likely the fastest option for you. You could take a practice test, and if you pass first try, then you're good to go. Or if you barely pass or you almost pass, then you may just need to look at what questions you missed and maybe take 1 or 2 more practice tests, and that may be all you need to be ready to take your CLEP exam. But for most students, they really need to use other options that help teach them the material so that they can really study and learn the material before they start using practice tests. Even if you've taken this subject before in the past as a class, you can also still benefit from a more comprehensive review of the material before you take the CLEP exam. Personally, what I recommend is using the REA study guides, because the REA study guides really have the most comprehensive review of the material, and I think in most cases that gives the students the best chance of passing the CLEP exam. Now, the downside of the REA study guides is that they are in book format, so you really do have to be motivated and disciplined to sit down, read the material, and teach it to yourself, to learn it, to be ready to take the CLEP exam. And this is where a lot of students struggle, because a lot of students would prefer and do better taking an actual class or watching video lectures, which are more engaging than just sitting down and reading a study guide. So this is where a lot of students get stuck, and honestly a lot of students end up failing, because you do have to put in the work and make sure that you study and learn the material before you take the CLEP exam in order to pass. Fortunately, however, in most cases, and you should check with your university, but in most cases, students just need a 50 out of 80 to pass the CLEP exam and get credit, which is really just a 62.5%. So it's absolutely achievable. Now, I mentioned that the REA study guides are my personal favorite and what I really recommend, but Modern States is also a very attractive option due to the fact that it's completely free, and they even give you a voucher to take the CLEP exam for free when you complete their full course. The only reason why I don't recommend Modern States as my #1 option is that, in my opinion, the lectures that they provide are a little short and don't go into quite enough depth on the material. I've also seen a lot of reviews from students that said that they didn't feel like they had a good enough grasp on the material after completing the full Modern States course. And I've heard a lot of students say that they were still scoring low on practice tests after taking the full Modern States course. But it is a great option. It's a great free resource that's available for you. And so if you have the time, you could use the REA study guide to learn the material, and then also go through the Modern States course as a review, and then get your voucher to take the CLEP exam for free. All right, so there's lots of study options that are available to you. And like I said, I recommend the REA study guides, but even though that's my recommendation, I don't really feel like there's one study option that works best for every student and all different learning types. So you gotta just kind of look at those options and decide what you think will work best for you. I wish I could say that there's an online course out there that really does a comprehensive review of all the material and has engaging video lectures and also has practice tests and flashcards and everything you need to be prepared for the exam, and it would work for all different types of students. But I can't really say that. I don't really feel like that's out there, because of the fact that I think that a course like that really could provide a lot of value to students. I am considering building an online course that does exactly that. So I'm considering building a course that has the video lectures that do an in-depth, deep dive into the material and has practice questions with a large test bank of questions that grade you so you can know how well you know certain topics on the CLEP exam. And I'd want it to have flashcards to study, like a notes taking section for you to take notes on your own. and full-length practice tests to practice taking the exam. I think that could provide a lot of value to students. So if that's something you're interested in, leave a comment down below and let me know. But to test the idea out, I did start filming some video lectures over the college mathematics CLEP exam. So I've currently filmed 23 video lectures so far over the numbers section and the algebra and functions section of the college mathematics CLEP exam. And those lectures are available right now on udemy.com. And I provided a link in my PDF guide, which is linked in the description of this YouTube video. I provided a link there to those video lectures on udemy.com so you can find them. And if you're currently studying for the college mathematics CLEP exam and you want some in-depth video lectures on those topics, then feel free to check those lectures out and leave me a review and let me know how you like them and whether they're useful for you. I designed those lectures by looking at actual CLEP practice tests and teaching you the material that you need to know to answer those practice questions correctly. And I also provide tips and tricks to navigating the more trickier questions and trickier topics on the CLEP exams. And I also kind of emphasize the most important things for you to study and understand before you take the CLEP exam. Okay, so now let's talk about exam day. You guys know the drill when it comes to standardized tests. You need to make sure you get a good night's rest before the test. You need to eat a healthy meal before your test and bring a light jacket to the testing center. Also, don't forget to print out your registration ticket so you can bring a printed copy of your registration ticket with you on exam day. I recommend printing out your ticket well before the morning of exam day so you don't run into any printing issues the morning before the test, which can just bring on a whole lot of added stress. Also, the College Board asks that you have your updated personal information on your printed registration ticket. So if any of your personal information, like your address, etc., has changed since you originally registered for the CLEP exam, then you can go to the My CLEP account section on the College Board website, update your personal information, and reprint your registration ticket. You also want to write out the date and time of your test on your printed registration ticket. Okay, so when you go to the testing center, you want to bring a valid form of ID and a form of payment for your administration fee. Some testing centers will allow you to pay your administration fee online in advance of the testing day, but in most cases, you need to bring a form of payment and pay your administration fee at the testing center when you arrive before you take your exam, but that varies by your testing center location. I recommend getting to your testing center 30 minutes early. That way, if you run into any traffic or anything along the way, you'll have some cushion. Also, in my experience, if you get to your testing center a little early, they'll often let you start taking your test early rather than making you wait till your actual exam time. The test is administered by computer, and you will usually walk away immediately after the test with your test results. Exceptions are for tests that have writing sections like college composition. For those, it does take longer for your scores to be processed. Successfully studying for a CLEP exam, taking the exam, and getting that passing score is a really rewarding feeling. You get to put in the work and then walk away right after with a tangible result that saves you tons of time and money towards earning your college degree. I'm excited for you because if you're taking the time to watch a video like this, then you're absolutely on your way to achieving your goals and experiencing that reward. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with test anxiety. So if you struggle with test anxiety, then you may have a hard time getting excited about exam day. Test anxiety is definitely something I personally have struggled with, and I actually have some pretty good tips and tricks to help you rise above those anxious thoughts and feelings and actually enter into a very calm and focused state where you're really feeling confident and even excited about taking the exam. If that sounds like something of interest to you, then leave a comment down below that says test anxiety. And if I see that comment, then I'll know that you want to see a video on that and I can make a video about that for you. If you liked this video, then give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure to click that little bell button because that will make sure you get notified when a new video is released. If there was anything in particular I said in this video that you found especially valuable, leave a comment down below to let me know what that was. And if you have any questions that weren't answered, then leave a comment to let me know what your questions are, and I can do my best to answer that question for you or put it in the queue to make a video on that in the future. The goal of this channel is to not only help you save time and money in college, but also to unlock your potential to perform at your best.